Twisted Travelers Podcast, your weekly dose of theme park news and entertainment. And now, here to talk all things coasters, theme parks, and even more, here are your hosts, Jack Lathrop and Chris Jones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Twisted Travelers Podcast. As always, I am Chris, and I am joined by Jack and our guest, Mikhile. How y'all doing?
Doing good. Doing well. Doing well.
I segued that horrible.
Yeah, that was a great segue. Top tier start right there, Chris. Top tier start.
So, welcome. As you can see, Mikhile is joining us this week. We've got news, ride of the week, listener questions, and then just, rambling. Before we get into anything, though, Patreon shout-outs. Shout out to Bryant, Graham, Grant, Jaden, Mark, Allison and Steven, Eric, and that guy named Mikhile. No idea who that is.
How did he get here?
So much.
Sounds like a great guy.
I know.
What a unique name.
Yeah, and we somehow remember how to pronounce it. Yeah. Thank you to all the patrons. The link is in the description. You can get a bunch of cool stuff based on your tier, all that. And also Discord, link in the description.
And don't forget to check out the social medias. You can find us on Instagram at @twisted_travelers, Twitter at Twisted Traveler, but the R at the end is a 1. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Thrilling Moment, and Chris at Twisted Travelers Chris.
Yes, and Mikhile will plug all of his stuff later in the episode. But now, news. Let's get into it. So, first thing, it's not huge, but probably the biggest thing we had this week is that Phantom's Revenge is getting repainted, and they're allowing just general guests to vote on the color. We've got purple and basically like a revived version of what it is now, the tealish, greenish, blue, whatever it is. I know
make
you
it
and
purple,
Harry
make
from
it
Coaster
purple,
Bob are
make
arguing
it
about
purple.
I like that purple a lot. I will say.
Make it purple.
I honestly voted for like the turquoise-ish thing.
I want to see another purple roller coaster in the world.
We'll see. I think it would work well with either. But yeah, they're repainting Phantom.
The top tier though would be painting like the spine purple and doing the rails the teal green. That would be a top tier.
Ooh, I hadn't even. I was thinking. Did those two choices of colors mean that we might get like a purple track and teal supports, or the other way around, like a teal track and purple support?
I think they said they're going to do the black support still. I'm interested to see if they do new train colors because of this, if they switch them out or if they just keep the teal and purple like they've always had.
I bet you they'll keep them.
Maybe they'll just run. Yeah, maybe they'll just switch it over to running the teal one more often now, since it will stick out from the track, because they only run one train on it most of the time.
Sure. Yep. I mean, hey, Phantom's ops are good enough to get away with it. Steel Curtains, on the other hand. But yeah, so Phantom's getting repainted. We got something that I guess we can bring up and then move past real quick, because it's not a good thing.
Something happened on Haunted Mine Drop. There was an incident. It was confirmed that the little girl involved did pass away. So thoughts and prayers to her family and friends. What is with this year?
Can we just get this? Can we get the rest of this year over with? So moving on from that, because that's depressing and I don't want to think about it anymore. Yeah. Poltergeist has reopened at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas.
The theming looks so cool.
It does. The new paint job looks really good.
The paint looks great. I keep it's like, do I want to watch the queue walkthrough, or do I just want to wait and see it myself when I end up back there? I'll probably cave and watch the video at some point, but it looks awesome from just the pictures I've seen.
Yeah, I've just seen the pictures too. And it looks really cool. The station being completely redone looks cool. The sign looks amazing. Good job, Six Flags, actually.
Good job, Jeffrey Siebert.
Yeah. Big fan of what they did with that. And speaking of Six Flags rides that reopened, Mindbender at Six Flags Over Georgia has soft opened and will be fully reopening soon with the new trains and everything.
Except for any day Chris is there. So
Yep, it'll be
keep
closed.
listen to the show so you know when not to go if you want to ride it.
That's right. Allison already said next time I'm
Block
there,
out
she's
that
gonna
whole
see if she
week.
can. Yes. I'm just cursed, man.
It's been a minute since I've ridden it too, so I really want to get back on it as well. But it's definitely been a lot shorter of a time for me than it has for Chris.
Hopefully it'll be open next time I go. Doubt it, but we'll see.
We're gonna get on it and it's gonna break down on the lift hill or something, and I'm just going to lose it.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But yeah.
Hey, you could have my luck. You could turn up there. It could be open for all of the first maybe hour and a half of the day, and you might get on something else. And when you get round to riding it, it's already down, and it's down for the rest of the day.
That was American Thunder at St. Louis. The rain started coming in the last 30 minutes of the day, and it was the last ride I had to ride. And it was going to be my 150, and then it didn't reopen. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I was planning for Goliath at Over Georgia to be my 200th, and
top tier coaster.
Reliability had other plans.
Oh,
so it's all right. Rampage at Alabama Adventure ended up being my 200th, so that's it.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Well, what wasn't even a choice at that point?
Yeah, I could have made the Wacky Wormit.
Okay, I gotta ask now though. Rampage or what's the clone of it y'all have over there? Megaphobia.
So that's crazy. I'm actually riding it for the first time next weekend.
Okay. So next weekend I'm gonna be asking you because I want to know if the American version or the UK version is better.
Absolutely.
I think our version is gonna be better, but I kind of have a thing for Rampage.
The Rampage is awesome. It's longer. It's way longer than I thought it would be as well. But anyway,
I need to ride it. But yeah, good for Six Flags opening stuff. More Six Flags. Tatsu has started testing. Of course, it's a couple months after I go. But good. Glad it's reopening. I continue to be cursed. But yeah, good for Magic Mountain.
I love Tatsu so much. Tatsu's low-key, because I only got to ride X2 once. Tatsu's low-key still my favorite ride there.
So Tatsu, I had much higher expectations for, and so I walked away being disappointed. And then I rode Manta with much lower expectations and loved it. So I really want to go back and redo Tatsu, but it's also going to be a struggle because I know I'm going to walk in that park and then I'm just going to go spend like 4 hours marathoning X2 because it's X2 and I love that thing way too much. I enjoy the pain you get on that ride is like the best feeling in the world, and I love it.
Good pain. I need to do that. I need to do that honestly because I can't after 10 years I can't remember anything about X2 apart from the Raven turn and the finale. Just feeling like it, like that was the first time a coaster had ever made me feel like it genuinely has the power to just do whatever it wants with me.
You are a rag doll when you go through that final range.
I need to ride it more too. I mean, I only got my one ride, and it's ranked pretty highly. More teasers for the end of the year episode.
I've talked about it before. I will talk about it again. That Ace ERT where I got to sit on it for an hour in the front row is still one of the highlights of my life because just being violently flung out of my seat every couple minutes on that ride. And then just getting back to the station. You want to go again? Yeah, let's go again. Let's do this thing again.
To run it back.
I miss it.
Literally, we were all, like, the people in the station, it was just, we were all like, run it again. Just hit the button. We don't, just keep it rolling. Just let us roll through.
X2.
Yeah, no, that's good about Tatsu, though. Tatsu's far and away my favorite flyer until I eventually ride Flying Dinosaur, but yeah,
I can't wait for Flying Dino.
Right.
It's gonna be so good. 4 years. Anyway, so news. That was pretty quick. Nothing much. Now it's time for Ride of the Week. That's right. Efficiency is key. Chris Paul.
That's a fact.
Point God. So Ride of the Week. CCI week is done. our CCI wheel is done. We are doing intimate accelerators now. So I've done all 4, Jack has done all 4, and so has Mikhile. This works out perfectly. So we've got Storm Runner at Hershey Park, Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm, Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, and Kingda Ka at Six Flags Great Adventure. The wheel is ready and spinning. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
I like to imagine you did that all of last night while you were doing the draft.
Not the whole time, but we got Kingda Ka this week. So
Kingda Ka. Okay. Who wants to start us off?
I'll let you go. I'll let one of you guys go first.
I can go first, I guess. So, Kingda Ka. I know one thing that some people, I know Bryant and Jack disagree with me, is that this isn't too far off of Top Thrill Dragster. Dragster is better because of the open restraints, but I did not think that Kingda Ka was much rougher or anything. I think the launch is almost, around the same area, just as good. The top hat's great. I did actually get some airtime on that big hill at the end because I was in the front row. The spiral down is fun. And I mean, there's not much more you can say since that's the whole ride. But I think the setting is pretty cool with all of the trees through the queue. I mean, I do think that Dragster's whole, seating to the side is pretty neat. But I don't think that it's much worse than Dragster. I think I only have them like 2 spots apart in my rankings. Not a huge difference. I do like Dragster more, but this is still a really, really good ride.
Yeah, okay, so here the difference between Dragster and Kingda Ka for me is a lot higher in my rankings. I definitely have a massive bias towards Dragster. I've been riding Dragster since 2016. I've probably ridden it around 30 times. Good amount of those in the front row. And it's just one of my favorite ride experiences ever. Yeah, it's short, but it's great. But when you look at Ka, a lot of the stuff I like about Dragster is lost. Okay, over the shoulder restraints or points off. The setting, well, yeah, it's got the bamboo and all that. The Dragster feeling of like racing down the midway like you get on Dragster is kind of lost because you don't have the guests and you don't have like a seating area. I don't like the color scheme as much. It is built right next to a parking lot. So I have like there are certain things about Ka that like turn me off. And then I definitely like the chatter at the end of the launch is noticeable. I've never ridden Ka in the front row. So but I've ridden both of them in their back rows, and the chatter in the back is a lot more noticeable on Ka. But it is still a great ride. It is still an amazing experience to go that fast and then go that tall. And then also now that they're being able to dual Zumanjaro and Kingda Ka, that is awesome.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So but Ka is a great ride. It is definitely a one-trick pony, but it is a great ride.
That's funny you say about not having not ridden Kingda Ka in the front row. My first ride was in the front row.
That's the thing. So I've ridden Dragster in the front row so much, I've never like prioritized getting a front row ride on Kingda Ka.
Yeah. No. I do really like Kingda Ka. Like I found myself agreeing with pretty much every point you made about Kingda Ka versus Dragster. It is hard not to compare the two, and like there is quite a gap in between Dragster and Ka for me. I do like Dragster a lot more, but Kingda Ka it's really good. Like I rode Kingda Ka before riding Dragster, so Kingda Ka was the first 100+ mile an hour launch that I'd ever experienced, and that in itself was just an out of body experience, kind of like that was amazing. Did either of you guys feel like the Kingda Ka's launch is pretty like quirky to me in the sense that it kind of like it felt like 3 accelerations one after the other. Like there was the initial acceleration, it kind of like coasted for like half a second, and then it accelerated again, and then did that again a third time before reaching the top hat. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys felt anything like that, but I was kind of just like, wait, what the hell is this thing doing right now?
It is. I know what you're talking about because it's the way Ka launches versus the way Dragster launches is slightly different. Because Ka, you take off and it feels like you get going really quick, but then you feel like you coast there for a bit, and then I agree, like it feels like it switches into second gear, and then you rev it up again, and then you coast, let your revs die, and then you switch gears again and go into third. But the second and third gears were never as noticeable to me, and then whereas you look at Dragster.
Just one smooth,
and
one
Dragster
smooth
is just
pull,
one pull the whole way down, which is
Yeah.
I actually prefer that because it just like keeps on coming the whole way.
I
Whereas
prefer that
Combo,
too.
it punches you, but it doesn't last like Dragster's does, which is still to this day why I've ridden Max Force and people love that launch, and I've ridden Accelerator, and that's a great launch too. Dragster still has the best launch of any roller coaster.
It just keeps accelerating. It just
keeps
doesn't stop at all. It's yeah. I love accelerated coasters in general. So this is fun to talk about. It's gonna be fun to listen to you guys talk about the other 3 in the next episodes.
We talked about 2 of them really a lot. We'll talk about these 2 probably again when we do Dragster, and then we'll get to Accelerator and Stormrunner, which are the other side of the coin, and they're both special.
Yeah. I low-key kind of hoped that Stormrunner would come up because I spent a lot of, and we'll get into this in the interview as well. I spent a lot of time working on Stormrunner and just having it's just some great times, some great memories on there working it. It's kind of my baby.
So I assume it's your favorite Accelerator.
Not by ranking, but by sentimental value, yeah, probably.
Okay. We'll talk about it later, but Stormrunner is definitely my favorite of the 4 by ranking. But we'll talk about that later. But Ka, I agree with all the points that you 2 said as to why Dragster is better, but they just don't hold like a ton of weight to me, except for the restraints. And even then, I don't mind Kingda Ka's restraints. So the big difference is with the lap bar on the way down for Dragster on that spiral, it just whips you to the side. That's the only huge difference between the 2 that like holds a good bit of weight for me. But still, I really do like Dragster and Ka. It's not a huge difference to me. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that was it for Ride of the Week. We'll get into either Accelerator, Top Tail Dragster, or Stormrunner next week. And yeah, there we go. So now, let's move on to listener questions. Question number 1. Which coaster manufacturers made better coasters 10 years ago, and which have improved the most over the past 10 years? And this is from Klaus. I've had to think on this one.
I hate this question.
Yeah.
Why do you always have to give us questions that require thinking?
I appreciate the thinking questions.
Yeah. I did see this one in the Discord and thought, oh wow, it's
a tough one.
That's gonna take some writing things down.
Yeah. I did do my RCDB research for this one a little bit.
I'm gonna go pull RCDB up.
See, because I feel like the only really good option you could say for one that made better coasters 10 years ago would be B&M. And that's not to say B&M is bad. It's just most people prefer the whippier old school style. But even then, 10 years ago is still like around the time where they were starting to move to new school. So
yeah,
I was gonna say 10 years ago, roughly to the day they announced Wild Eagle, to give you an idea of
that,
like
that's what I'm saying.
It's
I
weird
don't know.
because when you think it, like 10 years ago sounds like such a as contradictory as this sounds, it's almost like a non-time related phrase, because for me personally, like my brain just instantly goes back to like the 90s and early 2000s whenever I hear XYZ years ago.
Yeah.
But
mine does the same. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I definitely think if you said like 20 years ago and we start getting into the 90s, the answer is definitely B&M, because that was the glory days. Kumba, Montu, Dragon Con, all those were just coming out, and those were the hot items.
Yeah.
But just like 10 years ago,
I don't know if there is one.
Right around that the start of the 2010s
Mm-hmm.
era.
Uh,
And it's like you could say Intamin, but also that was like at the tail end of Intamin's like first glory day, like because that was Intimidator 305 would have been the last big ride they'd opened.
Yeah,
I mean, and Intamin's still going like just as strong.
but then you
if
have
not stronger.
Skyrush 2 years after, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like it's almost like I like to think that Maverick in 2007 was like Intamin's kind of turning point from going from the you know smashing the height records, smashing the speed records, etc., etc. They start to really get creative with the introduction of Maverick, and then from there forward, you start to see the evolution in their design language with i305 and Skyrush and stuff. So that you could make a case for Intamin, I think.
Maverick always felt ahead of its time when you consider that opened in 2007. Absolutely. And it's on par with some of these rides that have opened in the last couple of years. It's like that was Intamin's turning point. I will say, because I'm looking at it because it's also what coaster manufacturers improved over the last 10 years. I think there's a pretty good answer to this, and it's called Vekoma.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely one. You could probably make a good argument for almost any manufacturer.
RMC, because they didn't exist 10 years ago.
Look, Mock's been making Helix, DC Rivals, Ride to Happiness, Time Traveler stuff recently. 10 years ago was like Blue Fire-ish, I think?
Yeah, roughly.
Which was definitely more mild than the stuff they're making nowadays. You could probably make an argument for almost anybody to say who's
I think a good case could be made for Mock as well. Blue Fire being their introduction to thrill coasters, effectively. I mean, before that, it was like wild mouses and bobsled coasters, weren't it? Mostly?
Yeah, the fact that ride only opened in 2009, and they've seemingly perfected that model now.
Yeah, for sure.
I think one that I'm kind of thinking for made better coasters 10 years ago. Well, now I need to check my dates because, like you said, Mikhile, 10 years doesn't actually mean anything time-wise to me.
Yeah. Could a case be made for GCI?
That's literally what I'm looking at.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, Jack will agree, Texas Stingray is a little bit more mild than, like, Renegade, which was, that was 2007.
Prowler was 2009, right?
Gold Striker was 2013. Where was Prowler? Yes, Prowler was 2009. So, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Got it right.
That was probably their peak, like, Prowler, Renegade, Gold Striker, that like 5-6 years.
The tail end of their peak was Mystic.
Yeah, definitely.
That's almost a manufacturer that I think they've just found, like, here's what we do really good and we're not going to improve upon it, because my favorite GCIs it's Gold Striker, but then Thunderhead and Mystic are right there, and those all opened. One of them was 2004, one of them was 2017, and one of them was 2013. So pretty good spread of years for when those rides opened. And they all feel almost identical in how they ride.
Yeah.
So maybe the case for GCI could be made for, a manufacturer that made coasters, that made better coasters 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think they're probably.
I think that kind of fits the bill.
I think we could just lump Gravity Group in with that too, because the Voyage opened in 2006 and they haven't done anything like that since.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different things you can make an argument for with this question, but I do think GCI is probably the best case for better 10 years ago, and then I'd say probably Mach has improved a good amount.
Yeah, Mach is, especially for us and the States, that's who we've gotten to experience the most, because none of these parks will buy a new Gen Vekoma. Please, we're begging you.
Go to Disney. That's about it. But yeah,
we need some over here as well.
Hey, you've got like Lek and all that. You're as far as Vekoma, Asia's like the most spoiled. But then you guys compared to us have a good. We do have
arguably the best one. So I say we. It's nearby.
Yeah. All right.
You can get there a lot faster than we can.
I've recently only just realized how ridiculously cheap it is for me to get over there as well. So
yeah,
that's due to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have the Europe trip idea, and it's like the expensive part is getting from the States to Europe. Once we get to Europe, we can do the whole thing dirt cheap.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, can we get to Europe?
Yeah.
Just pooling the money. But anyways, question number 2. I think it's time to move on. This is from Bryant. What park's defunct roller coaster collection is the best? So he mentioned like King's Dominion has Hypersonic and Volcano. Islands would have Dueling Dragons.
Dueling Dragons, yeah.
Back to RCDB.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a question that requires research.
Yeah.
Big Bad Wolf and Drakenfire. I mean, obviously King's Island has a good amount.
I was gonna say King's Island is gonna be one of the first I looked at because they've got Son of Beast, Cobra. Is that what it was called? Whatever this.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, the stand-up, the Togo thing.
King Cobra, yeah. So they have Bat, Bavarian Beetle, Demon, Firehawk, King Cobra, Scooby's Ghoster Coaster, Son of Beast, and Vortex.
Magic Mountain.
I was just wondering if John Mike could be listening to this screaming Vortex.
He already cleared the Discord mentioning this question about King's Island. I'm sure he is.
I just make fun of him for that ride, and if you bring up that ride around him, the track slice will show up. I guarantee it. One of you should bring it up at Stumble. Like Chris, you should just ask him about it at Stumble and see if he pulls it out of his suitcase. Because if he does,
he'll drive back to Louisville to get it.
Yes, forget Velocicoaster night rides. No, he'll just drive to Louisville to get the track slice and drive back.
Okay.
I love the dedication.
I think there could actually be a strong case made for King's Island because they've got a pretty good lineup that if you go back 20 years, that would have been a really good lineup for a mid-sized park.
Now, when we say defunct, do we mean just properly like the rides are like the coasters are dead, or can they just be removed? Well, moved to another park? Because
that's true.
I would. I don't know how much you guys will agree, but I would make the case for Flamingo Land having 2 of the best Schwarzkopfs once upon a time.
That's true.
I feel like there's multiple parks that have had that, like the really good portable Schwarzkopfs that have gotten moved around. What am I thinking of?
Magic Mountain has more removed coasters than I realized.
Yeah, but none of them are really good. I mean, they had Colossus, they had...
Can I do my thing where I go grab the wheel off Colossus?
No. Great Adventure has had 15 defunct coasters, so if you want to go just solely based on the amount of credits you'd get...
There's a credit run.
Okay, wait, actually, yeah, no, I think I have to go Great Adventure. They had Chiller, they had Great American Screen Machine.
Oh, yeah.
They had dueling arrow launched loops, lightning loops. They had
Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder. They had a Togo thing, whatever it was. They had another Togo thing. They had an Intamin stand-up. They had an Intamin bobsled. Okay, it's Great Adventure. I think
they have more defunct credits than they have credits.
Yes, they do.
They do. They have 2 more. That's amazing.
That is ridiculous.
I claim that. That's my answer.
Was Rolling Thunder Mobius or was it 2 tracks?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 2.
It's 2 tracks, so it's actually 16 credits.
No, you're forgetting Batman and Robin the Chiller. 17.
17 credits.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a Great Adventure has to.
Rolling
Thunder.
Toro's closed right now. Do you count that?
Automatic number 1.
Automatic
because of that.
So wait, does Hershey Park deserve a mention because of Skyrush?
Also true. And Cedar Point because of Dragster.
Oh my gosh.
And soon to be Wicked Twister.
That's true as well.
You got 4 hours left as of when we're recording this, folks. Have fun.
I claim Great Adventure. Have fun, y'all.
Yeah,
I don't think I can
share volume.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can one up Great Adventure because, I thought about Rolling Thunder as that's only one roller coaster, and then you get on RCDB and you look at all of them. It's like wow.
I mean, King's Dominion had hypersonic. They had a shuttle loop. They had their
They
own
also
Togo
had,
stand up, and they had
yeah.
volcano and hurler, whatever. But that's not bad either. But
If Hiller at
it ain't great
Carowinds is
adventure.
anything to go by,
Do they?
From what I've been told from people that grew up riding Hurler, Carowinds is like glass smooth compared to what King's Dominions was.
oh my god.
So,
I mean, Carowinds' Hiller is just boring. It doesn't do anything, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's
at
awful.
least
There's like
at
one
least
rough
it's
patch on
not rough.
Carowinds hurler, and that's it.
it's
Other
the
than
thing
it
that
just
makes
doesn't do
that
anything.
ride uncomfortable is the banking is not steep enough, and so whoever you're riding next to, you better be comfortable with.
Well, great adventure. I think that's the answer.
Yeah, that's got to be the answer.
So, 2 more questions. This is from Grant. What's the 5th best ride at Carowinds? And he says that because they're top heavy. Obviously, they're 4 best. Everybody knows Copperhead, Afterburn,
Yeah.
Intimidator, and Fury. But what is the 5th best after the drop off?
I'd be inclined to say Carolina Cyclone personally.
Congratulations,
No,
you were.
That's the answer.
You're definitely right.
Definitely. This is what I was saying, Grant. You know this. That's like the guilty pleasure ride. It never has a line, and
Yeah.
it's not bad. It's fun.
Didn't we ride it
I
twice?
enjoy it.
Yes, I know. Like, people need to stop hating on Carolina Cyclone. It's pretty
It's
good.
so much fun, and the Vortex trains didn't ruin it, so I'm happy.
That's true. But yeah, that's an easy question. So we'll just go to the last one. Why aren't there more Intamin Blitz coasters? This is from Perry. Well, Perry, I mean, Velocicoaster, and then Pantheon, and then the one at Park Asterix. I think you're getting your wish.
Yeah. I kind of think that sorry to cut you off. I
You're
kind
good.
of think that Intamin has spent so much time over the past 10 plus years just refining the product of the Blitz coaster. You see how many track design changes and train design changes it's gone through. I kind of think they're at a spot where they've managed to find the best, is like the most cost efficient and just best product or best design that they can get, and they're proving to be much more reliable now. So who knows, we might even see some more after these ones on the horizon. I
hope
certainly
so.
wouldn't complain.
Yeah, because you saw Maverick was the first one in 2007, and then Cheetah Hunt, and then it felt like there was a gap. And
Yeah.
where do we go from here?
I mean, there was
And then
Terran,
I feel Terran rolled out, and they put the new trains on that, and then they switched the track up to be the different style, and it's kind of it's evolved from being this. When Maverick opened, it was a problematic roller coaster. I mean, the Heartline roll alone is enough to say, yeah, they were just going for it with that ride.
Yeah.
And then you look now at Velocicoaster, which is, it feels like the perfect spiritual successor to Maverick, just in how they design the ride. And then
Can't wait
on
for
top
November.
of that, the whole reliability factor. I think the only big issue we've heard out of Velocicoaster is like wheels overheating, which when you're pumping that
train so much, yeah.
I was gonna say, when you're pumping the train out of the station every 30 seconds for 12 hours a day
in Florida heat.
in Florida heat
Yeah.
on a black tracked roller coaster,
black
let's
track,
paint the
yeah.
let's paint the track like color that gets the hottest. What could go
seen it.
wrong?
I mean, that's
They're
an
quicker
issue
than
that
she
they can't get
realizes.
past. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, there was that gap just because Intamin wasn't being reliable, but now that it seems like they fixed it. I'd love to see Cedar Fair and maybe even Six Flags come back and work with them and build more blitzes, but we'll see how long that takes, if it ever happens at all.
I'm intrigued.
Mosasaurus roll in spot of Wicked Twister.
I mean,
Put it out over the lake.
Like literally just the roll. Like no rest
Honestly,
of the coaster.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, but here's what we need. Like, instead of like a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop, it needs to be like launch into the roll, up a spike, and then backwards through the roll back to the station. Perfect like shuttle ride right there.
If it was literally like just a clone of the Mosasaurus roll, going through that backwards doesn't sound the most comfortable.
Right, which is why it sounds amazing.
No, I think I'll pass on that idea. something Intamin there would be cool. I doubt it, but that'd be cool. But yeah.
What if they tear out Wicked Twister and just build like a new gen Intamin Impulse coaster?
They did that, or they put one of those in China.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just.
I hope that's not what they do, but
I'd
Yeah.
laugh. I'd laugh so hard
that
though if
would
they just
be-
replaced.
That would be really funny, to be fair.
I don't know. Who knows what's gonna end up there? But yeah,
Still
Rip Wicked
campaigning
Twister.
for-
I
it's
kept
only got
thinking, what if it
$4.
ends up just being like a Premier Skyrocket 2 or
No,
like something
No.
ridiculous like that? That would
they
be
just
such a slap in the
relocate
face.
Goliath from Six Flags New England. Give
Just
him a
put-
giant inverted boomerang.
Oh my lord! Just imagine the wait for a Skyrocket 2 at Cedar Point.
Oh god.
Like, you got a 4-hour line for Steel Vengeance in the back. There's a 12-hour line for the Skyrocket 2 up front.
Oh, don't give them ideas, please.
Can you imagine
don't wanna see a
Can you imagine
Sky-
the fast lane line for that ride?
Here's an
It'd
idea.
probably be spilling out onto the main midway.
You get the mock power splash like Pulsar at which one? Wallaby, Belgium, and just put it on Lake Erie. Extend it out a little bit and actually uses lake water.
I know Mock does a special, but water's not included, so they just put it in the lake.
There you go. That would be a bad line. But anyways, I think you're getting your wish, Perry. They seem to be coming back pretty strong. So, listener questions. Thank you guys for the questions. Join the Discord. That's where we get them every week. Mikhail's in there. You can talk to him. And let's actually get into the interview. So, Mikhile, properly introduce yourself to the people, sir. How you doing?
Hello. So, as Chris said, my name is Mikhile. I am a British coaster enthusiast. Just trying to really just find a career in the theme park industry. To be honest with you, I love creating. I love drawing. So I'm looking to get my foot in the door in the ways of like concept art and conceptual art design drawings and things of that nature. And off the back of that, I suppose I was going to plug this at the end of the episode, but Visions by Mikhile, my Instagram, it just was sort of the beginning of a creative space that I wanted to create where I could just I suppose put drawings and photography as well on display. I kind of just realized that if I'm going to pursue something like this, I need to be visible, and my work needs to be visible as I can make it. So I thought, while I'm doing enough work to build up a portfolio, that would be a good way to just get my work out there and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, aside from that, I'm literally just just a theme park enthusiast, to be honest. And just a guy who has always loved theme parks and roller coasters since I was about around 3 years old, honestly. And I guess how this fortunate opportunity came about is just I have had the opportunity to work at a couple of parks in the United States while I was at university, and off the back of that, I've just gradually just made more and more friends, more and more enthusiast friends over in the States, and yeah, it's been as awesome as I thought it would be to eventually get to know you guys and like the likes of the Drunk Riders and other
Are those fools?
yeah, those idiots over there. and
We love you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are awesome. Always have a good time chatting with them.
November is going to be a fun time.
Hopefully. But yeah, man, that's just me. Just trying to make a way in what I love the most and what makes me the most happiest.
Got you. So yeah, well, we'll ask a pretty basic question to get us started. What actually got you into coasters and theme parks?
So it's funny. So I have lived for the majority of my life about an hour away from Flamingo Land in the north of England, and I used to go there all the time with my family. Just instantly fell in love with how roller coasters looked. Obviously, like when I went there, the majority of the time I wasn't tall enough or brave enough, honestly, to go on any of the coasters that go on any of the bigger coasters there. But I would just spend hours just fascinated at how they looked, all the, obviously the acrobatic elements that they did all up in the air and everything, and from there it was just like the fascination just grew. It just grew and grew and grew, and eventually I was able to get to the likes of Alton Towers, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, eventually Thorpe Park down south and stuff. Context: I live in the north of England, so um, yeah, like I just I loved watching them. I would look for documentaries on like the Discovery Channel. Um, watch those incessantly over and over and over again. Finding out about coasters in the US and everything. While I was able to finally, build up the courage to go on our major coasters over here as well, the likes of Nemesis and the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, the two Schwarzkopfs at Flamingo Land, Bullet and Magnum Force. Eventually, I got over to the States when I was 11. The one coaster, probably above all, that I just wanted to try out, more than any, was the Hulk. And I know how much Jack loves the Hulk as well. And yeah, it was kind of like the fascination was there, but the obsession wasn't really solidified until I rode that ride. And that was really the one that made me think, like, yeah, I want theme parks and roller coasters to be in my life for the rest of my life. And since then, like it just took off. I knew I wanted to have a career in the theme park industry. It's just been a very long and convoluted journey as to which, avenue of the industry that I'll eventually get into. But I'm hoping this one sticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it, really.
No. You bring up Hulk, and that's one of those. I rode that really early on. It was maybe credit number 50 or something for me. And just looking back on it now, it's like that ride has stood the test of time for me. Just how amazing that roller coaster is.
Yeah, like every time, because I obviously got to ride the OG Hulk before the refurb. I loved it then, and then getting to go back in 2017 to see, the enhanced version of it. I just fell in love with it all over again. Like it just how much fresher it looks, how much more modern it looks.
Yeah. New Hulk is pretty cool. New Hulk is much better than old Hulk, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got to do the old Hulk, but my first experience with Hulk was in 2017, and I remember I waited like an hour. Me and my dad got front row, and I was just like, when we hit that launch, it's just, yep, this is awesome. This is awesome.
It's just done so well. Like it's such like an atmospheric experience. It's obviously not just a launch. You've got all the effects in the launch tunnel and the audio, which adds so much to it. And I mean, if there's any park chain that knows how to do, how to turn a launch into a whole, atmospheric cinematic experience, it's obviously Universal. So
yeah, and also they just love putting launch coasters in that park.
They do just love launch coasters. I'm not mad at it.
I'm grateful for that. I'm very happy that they love launch coasters. It works out well for me.
Literally, like, they've got 4 of the best launched roller coasters in the world, all within, like, however much the square between Mummy and Velocicoaster and Hagrid's and Hulk is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to get back there. Whether it's for Velocistumble or for sometime next year or beyond. Just the next time I'm back there, well, yeah, I'll be emotional for sure. I love Universal so much.
I'm emotional every time I go to that park.
I don't.
It doesn't matter.
I just kind of show up when I feel like it.
Oh, rub it in.
But okay,
Must be nice.
earlier you mentioned your experience actually working at parks. So where have you worked, and what has been your experience with them? What do you think was your favorite to work at, and what did you actually do while working at the parks?
Yeah, so I have worked at Hershey Park and Busch Gardens Williamsburg for 2 summers each. While I was at university, I I just took I took on the opportunity to go out to the States and just work at parks over there during the summers in between my school years. And I initially, it's a funny story. And I initially wanted to do the Disney College program, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. So once I found out that I wouldn't be able to do the college program, I was like, well, okay, I still want to try and go out to the States and work at a park somewhere. So it's a bit of a convoluted process that I won't bore you guys with, but I had realized that the opportunity to work at Hershey Park was there. This was in 2015. So I went through the process of having the interview with them and getting all my work visa stuff sorted out, and was able to work there in the summers of 2015 and 2016. And then the same process the couple of years after that took me to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So in 2017, I worked at Busch Gardens Williamsburg as a ride op, and I worked as a ride op, and then eventually a team lead at Hershey Park as
Nice.
well. But yeah, in 2017 worked as a ride op at Busch, and in 2018 I managed to get onto Bush's park operations business internship, which was an awesome experience. That's definitely my favorite. That's definitely my favorite experience that I've had working at those two parks, because of how much I was able to learn about the industry, the people I was able to meet. There's a few people from that internship that I'm still super super close with today.
Yeah.
Have great friendships with those guys. And yeah, like from there, I was able to just decide at the end of that internship is at the end of the summer of well at the end of Halloween in 2018 is when I stopped working there, and that's when I decided that I wanted to go into pursuing a career in creative design and like the concept art side of things.
Yeah.
After I had a few great conversations with people who work as a part of the design and engineering team at Busch, and yeah, I knew it was the right thing for me to do, because like as much as I loved working in sort of like the management ladder of things and like the operations management of and that area, I just knew I wanted something more creative, like where like I said before, I love creating things
Yeah.
within this space. So, but I'm so like forever thankful for the experience I've had working at those
Gotcha.
parts.
Yeah. Now, actually, sticking with the creation, you obviously have Visions by Mikhile. What do you think is your favorite art piece or design you've actually made, theme park related?
So far, it's hard to. There's two that I've done in recent times that really hold a lot of weight for me. So I started a little sort of series of coaster silhouette drawings um, that just basically consisted of colored pencil and watercolor pencil application as mediums, and I did one of Apollo's Chariot and Tempesto, sort of like a sunset piece of Apollo's Chariot and Tempesto, with like a blue and gray, a blue and green, sorry, sunset with Apollo and Tempesto, sort
Mm.
of like the track silhouetted on that sunset. That was for a really close friend of mine's. That was a gift for her birthday, and I eventually got to give that to her not long ago, and yeah, so that one means a whole lot to me. And then after that one, a little bit more recently, I actually did one. I actually did one for Velocicoaster. Um, it was sort of it wasn't so much like a skyline piece or anything like that. I do have a few skyline pieces as well. Um, it was more just like an angle of the top hat and then like the entry into the zero G stall. And how I did it is I put like a sort of red background on it to sort of represent the all the lights turning red in the second launch. And Velocicoaster is the coaster that I'm most excited to ride. It's the one I'm anticipating the most. And I really just wanted to do a piece to sort of represent that. And I love how that piece came out. Like I had not to sound a cliche, a vision for it. and
There's nothing wrong with that. I named my thing Thrilling Moments so I can be it's thrilling and it's moments. Thrilling moments. Cliche, right?
Right. I love that. And yeah, no, just like the piece came out pretty much exactly the way I wanted it. And I think it might be the only time, well, it might be one of the few times where like I had a thought for a piece and I was able to, make it as accurate to the 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 vision I had in my head for it.
I wish I could do that in Planet Coaster.
Bro, so do I.
Yeah, I know.
I think we all do. I
Right.
resonate with that so much doing like graphic design work. It's like, oh, I've got this killer idea in my head. And then you look at what you've got in Illustrator and it's like, how did I go from that amazing thing to that like just heap of vectors on my computer?
Yeah. I eventually want to get into doing like graphic design work and just digital art in like Photoshop and stuff. But yeah, just trying to get as good and as skilled as I can with just hand drawings at the moment, and then hopefully I can apply those skills to some digital art.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you can draw, you can design anything. I cannot draw at all, and so that is my biggest challenge. Is I have to it's usually chicken scratch, just notebook ideas that I have to try to turn into some design. And so being able to draw is, yeah, it's definitely helpful. But I got to say, I think my favorite of those you've done is the Thorpe Park skyline.
Right. Yeah, that one was really cool to do. I kind of knew it'd get a lot of traction, obviously, with the UK enthusiasts over here. But I had seen that like sort of view of the skyline in countless amount of photos, and it was one of the first. It was one of the first ideas I had. Like I wrote down a list of ideas to do the Skyline Silhouette series is with, and that Thorpe Park skyline was like maybe the second or third idea I had there. That was really good to do, and kind of just like the Velocicoaster one. Like I had the idea of the colors I wanted to use for it straight away. I knew it'd work really well with the kind of vibe that Thorpe Park has and everything. So yeah, that one was a really enjoyable one too.
Yeah, I think the Velocicoaster one has to be my favorite that you've done. I mean, I'm not like artistic or anything, but it just looks sick. I remember when that came out, I was like, hey, that's actually pretty nice. But
I just love how. Oh, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
You're good.
I just remember it came because Block Breaks did hers, and then you did yours, and we're just getting all, and then and Gabby did her poster around then too, and so we're just getting all of this Velocicoaster content. That's largely why I said, "Screw it, I'm driving to Florida to ride this."
I have to shout out Block Breaks as well. She was like her drawing was a massive inspiration for me as well. Like
I had to keep
hers
my
is
mouth
incredible.
shut on that thing for so long it killed me.
Yeah, because how did that feel, seeing how that drawing came out for
Oh,
her,
I
and
was.
knowing
She would send me
what you knew at
updates,
the
and
time.
I would be like freaking out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I took this picture, and now it looks even better as a drawing." Um, I, she and I have been going back and forth. We're going if we just neither have had that much time. I'm going to get I'm going to get a print of it of the drawing and a print of the original picture and have them framed next to each other.
Yeah.
At some point, that's in the plan. And then I'm also going to send her a copy of the print too, so she has a copy of the original photo. But yeah, it's so weird to watch like this like it's a realistic image, and then it gets like done in pencil, and it's like you're capturing all of these details, and it makes me appreciate, like, again, no artistic ability with a pencil or crayons or anything. I can't even paint that well, and so it's just to see it happen, it's like, what is going
Don't
on
even
with
try.
this?
I just have to say, and we'll get back to the Velocicoaster drawings as well. I honestly believe, I'm of the belief that anyone can start drawing, because it's like, it's not about the finished product, in my opinion. It's the start. And again, this may sound cliched, but like, it's really about starting, and then just, making the mistakes as you go along, and learning how to make the mistakes. With all these these pieces that I've done, none of them were done perfectly on the first try. Like, it always took me some, like, numerous rounds of practice of how I wanted the colors to look at first. And then even when it came to doing the final piece, I would if I were to do something that wasn't quite how I wanted it, it was always just about seeing how I can, sort of modify it in a way, sort of mask it and make it work. And the finished product just becomes sort of like the end of the journey you took throughout it, and how you the different directions you took. It's a really cool process once you sort of take your focus away from the finished image and focus on everything else. And you get better and better at it with time. I believe that to be true, because I mean, that's basically how I've gotten to where I am at the moment. I really think I could get, like, I want to get much better than I am at the moment, but to where I've gotten right now, I think that's how it's been done. But with the Velocicoaster drawings, that one's just so incredible, because she put the she took the actual image and obviously added her own, like, creative spin on it, adding the volcano in there and the raptors all on the track and stuff. And that's also, like, something that I really love about just drawing in general, especially with colored pencil drawing, because you can do things like that while still adding such a finite, like, amount of detail, like, really fine details in there. And like, I loved that piece so much. And being as hyped for Velocicoaster as I am, just seeing the finished product was just like, it blew my mind, honestly.
Oh yeah, I remember. So I got like the early, okay, here's the track and here's this, and then I didn't get one for a while, and then the next time I get an update on it, there's a volcano, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, unbelievable. She is just incredible in general, incredible person as well.
I've got an amazing picture of her on El Toro of just like everyone. It's like everyone else is just at normal level, and then she's just like rising above everyone, coming on, like just going over one of these hills. It's one of my favorite pictures.
I think I saw that on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
I was kind of just like, she just looked at everyone else in the train and said, "Yo, watch this," and then later on she's just halfway in the sky.
Yep, she's just halfway up there. And I'm like, she's just going for it. When I was looking, I don't even think I found that picture on my first pass. I go back through my pictures a couple months after to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I'm going back through, I'm like, wait, I know that person.
That's the best. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about Visions by Mikhile. You also have recently started up your own show, The Chain Dogs. So what has your experience been with that? Why'd you actually go into starting this? Well,
yes,
how's that been going?
It's been a long time coming. It's been the best thing. So if I take it back to the Coaster Gen show, which was, I guess, the predecessor to the Chain Dogs podcast, my friend Luke, who runs a YouTube channel called Coaster Gen, he and another friend of ours called Joe, who is one of the hosts on Chain Dogs as well, they brought me on to do an episode just talking about my experiences as a ride operator over at Hershey and Busch as well. And I wasn't so keen on the idea of jumping on at first, but I thought, you know what, I might as well give it a go. I love talking about my experiences and talking about coasters in general. So I was like, why not? Ended up having a great time doing it, and eventually just became a regular on what was the Coaster Gen show at the time. It was run on Luke's Coaster Gen YouTube channel, and I really just became acclimated to just having fun on a podcast, just talking about roller coasters. And over time it became apparent that there was a lot of burden on Luke's shoulders to sort of produce the show, moderate the show, just basically have control over everything to do with the show. And we all came to an agreement that so there's myself, there's Luke who runs the channel, there's Joe, who has his own sort of platform on Facebook called Theme Park Insanity, Sean from Parksville, who you might have heard of, he makes otherworldly cinematics. Yep. His vlogs are awesome as well. Another one of us called Aaron as well, who runs a YouTube channel called Ghostly Stories, Ghostly Horror Stories, which is his videos are fun. His videos are super fun as well. And then the last one of us is James, who helps a lot with the moderation of the show as well. And we all came to an agreement that it's not really fair on Luke to have to do everything. So we thought we want a platform where we can all contribute to it somewhat equally, and it can all be ours. So like when one person can't make it, the show doesn't have to take a break or anything. And any of us can moderate the show. We can host the show, set up the topics that we want to talk about, and we just wanted to give it its own identity, really. And it took some time to really develop everything that we wanted to put into it, but we got it going. It's had such a great reception so far. We've only been going a month at the moment, but me, Luke, Sean, and Aaron were all at an enthusiast event over at Blackpool Pleasure Beach this past weekend.
It looks like y'all had a blast.
Oh, mate, we had the best time. It was incredible. It was such a good time. I'm still sad now that the weekend's over, but we had a bunch of people come up to us and say, hey, we're big fans of the Chain Dogs podcast. We love listening to you guys, and it was just, first of all, it was super weird. I'm not used to that at all. having people come up and spark up a conversation about the podcast and stuff. But it was just so much fun. I was so grateful to be able to chat with them about the podcast and ask them what they like the most about it, and just find out more about them and just have a general conversation with them.
I think Chris and I can both agree that was the weirdest thing for us this summer was when we got recognized.
Yeah. It's a weird one, isn't it? Like that first time.
Yes, especially when you're being evac'd off of B&M flyers.
I know he got evac'd off a flyer and it happened. I was just in Dominator's station at King's Dominion, and this husband and wife come up to me and are like, "Wait, you're one of the hosts of the Twisted Travelers podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, is that a bad thing?"
It's so funny. You just don't know how to react. You're just like, yeah, I am. That is me. That is me.
It's like it's only slightly creepy because my face is not associated with it. So you just have to know my voice that well.
I know. The dude was like, "You look familiar," and I'm like, how? Because we don't show our face ever. The only time I think you would ever see my face is if
show art.
You were recording show art, my Instagram profile picture, or Discord. That's like it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever shown it any other time.
See, at least with us, that like we host our episodes live on YouTube, and like it's a live stream on YouTube, so like the people tuning in get to see our face, and obviously we're on streaming sites as well. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and on all of those, all the rest of them as well. But like the main show is on YouTube, so people know our faces. But like for you guys, you obviously you stick to the streaming services, don't you? So for people to come up to you and actually recognize you,
I know.
in parks,
it was one thing when we were like Hollywood Nights and Keys to the Kingdom, and it's all enthusiasts there. It's like, okay, that's one thing, but to just have it happen randomly at a park.
Yeah.
The first time I think I texted Chris, I was like, "So you're never gonna believe what just happened."
Okay.
So like, when was when did it happen for you, Jack? Did it happen for both of you around about the same time? Or
It was the first time the podcast happened was within about a week of each other, because I was at King's Dominion and he was not far behind me on his trip, Great Adventure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was getting evac'd off of Superman, and one guy was like, "You look familiar," and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know you on Instagram." I was like, "Oh, I have like 100 followers." But okay.
Yeah, it like the podcast thing I think really took me by surprise, because there's still this part of my head that doesn't believe that this podcast actually like happens. It's just like a fantasy that we do just for fun and no one ever listens. There's still a part of my brain that thinks that. So when someone acknowledges the podcast exists, it's like, wait, that is a real thing we do. It's not just like Chris and I sitting around for an hour in a week talking into the vacuum of space. But like, I remember the first time it happened, even with just photography, someone was like, "Wait, you're that Thrilling Moments guy." And I can tell you the first time it happened and who it was. His name is Marcus Johnson, and he hosts the Drunk Riders podcast.
Of course it was. Of course.
That was the first time like someone decent like in the community was like, "Wait." And then they go on the show and they're like, "Yeah, he's really young. It's like, he's a lot younger than we expected him to be." And then they forgot how young I was and had me on the podcast. So
was he expecting you to be around like his age?
They were expecting someone closer to their age.
Right.
Yeah, and then they had me on the podcast and they're like, "What are you drinking?" I was like, "Cheerwine." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you're only 18, aren't you?"
That is funny though, with some of the photographers on Instagram and stuff, and like I'll be seeing like the quality of the photos that they're able to take and edit and post on Instagram and stuff, and then whether I like see them on their stories or someone else's story, and I'm like, wait, you're that guy? That guy who I was looking at all of their photos and thinking, Jesus Christ, like how long has he been taking photos for? And then I'd see that it's just some 17 or 18-year-old, and I'm like, oh wow, I am late. Like I'm late.
that was the thing with Twitter too, was when I was just on Twitter, especially in the first year or two, I never posted like a selfie or a picture of me, and so no one knew what I looked like for a long time. And then when it started getting out, like what I looked like and how young I was, then it just kind of was like, yeah, he's the young guy, and then now he's the intern, and
now he's the co-host.
now he's the co-host. Jack the co-host? Question mark.
Yes. Well, I think we've done enough, plug-in talking about content. Let's actually talk about some theme parks. So, Kyle,
we ramble.
Let's get into
American parks versus EU parks.
You've got a unique experience on this because you've worked at an American park.
Yeah. So you're asking me which ones I prefer?
Just in general, some of your favorites from either, or if there's major differences between the two, just based on location, all that.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's weird because I don't know in terms of the exact amount of US parks versus European parks and UK parks that I've been to. I feel like I've been to more US parks than than European parks, but yeah, I can tell you that some of my favorite memories anywhere have come from US parks, and just being able to get to them and see what a lot of you guys' parks really focus on, outside of Universal and stuff. But getting to go to a lot of Cedar Fair parks, some Six Flags parks, and then obviously the Hershey parks, I kind of just love how there's a bit of everything depending on where you go. Like you've got your really well themed experiences in the likes of Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, which are two of my favorites. Silver Dollar City is actually my favorite park that I've been to.
Yep.
And then
much better than Dollywood. Just saying. We ain't gonna start this here, but
we can get into that in a bit. And but yeah,
I'm not gonna say it just because I don't want to add a tick mark for Bryant.
But yeah, like you've got your really high quality themed experiences, and then you've got your parks that focus on the height and speed of their coaster lineups, and just how many coasters they have in there and stuff, and how those coasters and bigger thrill rides really interact with each other, which make up the aesthetic of the park, which I really like, which I really like in some spots about Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks. So you've got a nice mix there. And what I'm realizing now is that European parks, they do tend to focus a lot more on the themed experience side of things. We do have some parks that sort of resemble Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks, and other smaller independent parks as well. But a lot of the ones that I imagine you guys hear about, the likes of Phantasialand, Europa Park, Disneyland Paris, Efteling, they're all rooted in their themed experiences, and like that sort of history goes back decades and decades. Whereas I feel like the US park experience is maybe a bit more rooted in the amusement park side of things. Like how far back Cedar Point's history goes, how far back Knoebel's history goes, etc., etc. So it's interesting to me to see how the nature of parks on both sides of the Atlantic, both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, just they have grown over the generations. They sort of originated differently, but I personally see similarities in both of them. I think at the moment I have to side with the US parks, because at the moment, because for one, I've not there are a lot of big name European parks that I still haven't gotten to yet. But also just because sort of my sort of history as an enthusiast was sort of birthed in the US.
Yeah.
From from the place that I was able to work, and finally getting to meet some enthusiast friends and make some really good enthusiast friends. That all happened in the US for me. So yeah, like a lot of I do tend to lean that way.
Got you.
I think it's definitely interesting to look at it too. Like, we grow up with the American parks, so yeah, I hate to say we get bored with them, but we kind of get bored with the
Right.
typical. For us, for you're talking about like
We
the
want
history of
Terran,
them.
not parking lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, for us, this like culture of theme parks is based largely around like a fair. Like, you go to the fair, you ride the rides, you eat the food, maybe see a show, but it's not like heavily themed. Whereas you go over there and it's this steep tradition of storytelling that Europe has.
Yeah. And that's all like with the creation of Disneyland Paris. I think it's a case of a lot of parks over here wanting to replicate the same kind of experience. So then the like you said, like the storytelling aspect of attractions was really birthed off the back of that. A lot of parks over here, they had attractions. I don't want to say just blatantly ripped off Disneyland Paris or just Disney in general, but you could see a lot of similarities in them. So I think maybe generally parks over here tend to steer away from that now, but they still want to deliver a very memorable experience, a very immersively themed experience, and very rooted in storytelling.
You have no idea how excited I am to actually get to Europe and check out some of the stuff over there. One thing I am concerned about, actually,
I've still got some research to do over here as well.
Yeah. All I know is that there's going to be a very funny and awkward picture of us at Alton Towers for the first time, because we're just going to show up at Alton Towers and lay down in the entrance plaza next to a brick.
Yes, we have our Twisted Travelers brick at the entrance.
We bought that pre-Twisted Travelers. That's how
did.
long.
I'm gonna have to look for that the next time I'm down there.
I will have to. I know roughly where it is. Harry from CoasterBot found it for me.
Really?
Yeah, I reached out to him. This was like way back in the day. I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, this is a really odd request. I'm an American that has no means of getting to your park, but we bought a brick there.
Had you not spoken to him at all at the time?
Never. This is the only interaction I've ever had with this man. Was just, can you go take a picture of a brick for me?"
That's amazing. That's awesome.
That's going to be fun when we actually get to Europe. But one thing that I've kind of noticed, whether it's listening to Trip Report, seeing on YouTube, a lot of times it seems like when Europeans come to America, they will, in a way, almost expect some of our coasters to be like 10 times better because of how much you hear about them, and end up being disappointed. And then it can happen the other way around too. Americans come to Europe, and it might not be exactly what they were expecting with the theming and the storytelling for certain rides. I'm trying to keep my expectations low, but that's kind of tough, you know. So
I definitely get that, and there are a few. I can say I relate to that a little bit. I will say I'm waiting impatiently to ride Voyage at night during Hollywood Nights. Right now,
experience.
Right now, it's like that's one for me that I will be completely honest. It's sat right outside my top 10 right now. It was an awesome ride when I got to ride it. It wasn't quite the definitively world beating experience I was expecting, but I feel like a night ride on that thing during Hollywood Nights with a bunch of other enthusiasts will fix that in a jiffy. So
it sounds like your thoughts on Voyage are like the same as mine were after my first visit, where it's like it's insane, but it's not quite as what I was expecting. And then I went back, and you'll see in the Twisted Travelers Awards that it took a pretty good jump this year.
Although I'm very biased because I got like 2 rides at Hollywood Nights this year, and they were great, don't get me wrong, but when I went back a couple of weeks ago and just rode the thing all day long, it's like, okay, good ride. It's a good ride during the day, too, especially when you don't have to wait 2 hours for it.
I feel that.
It is insane.
So, yeah, I think, the expectations, I mean, for us and going to Europe and then you coming over here to get some credits that you haven't gotten the chance to do yet, it's like there's a higher expectation. Like a great example is Nemesis.
Oh yeah,
because it's one of those rides that's like we grew up hearing about that ride over here. It's so legendary, and so to like finally get to ride that thing, it's like, okay, this has got a lot riding on it, because I knew about Nemesis long before I was an enthusiast. That's how legendary that ride is.
Yeah, that's another one. Like I haven't gotten a chance to ask any of you guys about just how revered Nemesis is over there, and I mean, I suppose you just hit the nail on the head right
It is
there.
easily my most anticipated ride in the UK. So.
Oh yeah, by miles.
Terrain,
literally,
please.
Just literally, like, remember being in like elementary school and watching like things about the UK, and Alton Towers would get brought up, and Nemesis was always the thing that would be brought up about Alton Towers. And like, I'll talk to people that aren't enthusiasts that have no idea about 99% of roller coasters, and they'll know Nemesis.
And they'll know of Nemesis.
I like to think of Nemesis as the equivalent to the Beast for the UK and for Europe, because the Beast is one of those rides. Good chance you bring up the Beast, someone in the room has heard about it, because it's a legendary roller coaster.
Yeah, I hear that. That makes a lot of sense. And like Nemesis is about as popular just over here as well. Obviously, with the likes of Smiler opening up, and a few. I feel
like Smiler might be famous for the wrong reasons nowadays. In a way,
perhaps. I think over time it has successfully sort of deviated away from that sort of negative reputation, but yeah, like that is still in the back of a lot of people's minds. I won't sit here and lie and say it's not, but yeah, like Nemesis is my personal favorite roller coaster over here. I will
take that question off of the show notes.
God, I could answer that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I will be honest and say that I do have a few. Well, I do have a couple inverts on your side of the pond above it, namely Montu and Alpengeist. Montu being my favorite overall, but
Don't bring up Alpengeist to Jack.
Talon supremacy.
No.
How much of that is because you didn't get to ride Alpengeist though?
Talon's been my favorite invert since the day I rode it in 2018.
Right.
Montu was good. It just didn't hit all of the like craziness I expected it to have.
Montu has 1 week a year where it becomes better than like every other coaster in the world in general. Other than that, it's still like the best invert. But if you get it if you have a lucky day with Montu, you're in for a treat.
And then like the other Banshee, everyone knows I'm not a big fan of Banshee. And then the rest of the inverts I've done are just weaker layouts or Batman clones. And then there's Over George's Batman clone, which is still better than 90% of roller coasters in general.
Yep. I do liken Over George's Batman clone to Nemesis in terms of the experience. Like it's just in terms of
that makes me happy.
In terms of that fast pace, I want to be super careful, because I just know that just speaking of US enthusiasts in general, there are going to be some of you that go over to Towers and ride Nemesis and be disappointed by it. Like it's inevitable with how like you said, like how hyped up it's been for so many years and how revered it is. Like some of you are gonna, like, your expectations may be a bit higher, but just I can obviously only speak from my own personal experience, and Nemesis just hits. It just hits every time for me.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the rides in the UK or in Europe in general that I know I should probably be careful with as far as expectations. Because as famous as it is, you still have a good portion of people that seem to think Inferno is better, and Inferno does not look that great.
Yeah, we don't
as far as just layout.
We don't
so.
talk about that corner of the UK enthusiasts.
That's where like the US enthusiasts, we just peer over and be like, what are the British people up to? Oh, they're having the Nemesis versus Nemesis Inferno debate. Leave them be.
Yeah. I tend to do the same, honestly. Yeah, no, apparently, see, I haven't actually been to Thorpe Park since Swarm's opening year in 2012. And I've heard from a lot of people that Nemesis Inferno is getting better with age. So so that'll be interesting. I'm actually going down. I'll actually be at Thorpe Park next week.
Oh, nice!
For the first time in 9 years. But yeah, so I'll get to see for myself. See how it rides.
Right. Well, what else? Jack, did you have any other random questions pop in your head, or?
I can ramble about random like UK and Europe versus America differences all day long. Okay, here's the most random of all questions.
Oh, here we go.
Who's your football club?
Oh, you're a basketball guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a basketball guy.
Gang.
I feel like I was gonna disappoint you, but yeah, I don't really follow football that much.
Okay, that's completely fair. I was like, we have someone from Britain on. We have to ask about that because
of course. What were the chances
for
that
players or for teams?
Yeah, what were the chances that the one time you get a Brit on the show, he doesn't actually follow football?
Hey, that just tells me that the stereotype is wrong and that we need to improve it. So, but you know,
yeah,
I watch way too much Ted Lasso, so all I care about is football right now.
I respect it.
We have fantasy football draft tonight.
Most of my friends are Manchester United fans.
Manchester, okay.
Yeah.
That club.
Yeah, that one over there.
Just that one. You may have heard of it. It's kind of a big deal.
I don't know if you might have seen it on ESPN or anything.
Yeah, doesn't pop up on trending at all.
Never heard of it.
You know, we have our fantasy draft tonight for American football, and I'm going to be racing the clock to make it.
I'm ready to win. Well, anything else, Jack? Any other random questions?
Random questions. Nope.
Should we get a little bit into Silver Dollar City and Dollywood?
Oh gosh, we can.
We can.
See, I feel like Jack's thoughts might have changed a little bit recently.
I haven't gone to Dollywood in roughly.
Wasn't it like the beginning of August or something? I remember
beginning of August. It's been about a month, which is we're getting close to like the long. We're definitely going to break my longest without going to Dollywood during an operating season streak.
Right.
Like I think the previous it was a month and a half was about the longest I've gone without going. It's probably gonna get close to 4 months before I go back.
Oh, in fact, okay. Not to deviate away from that, but I'm interested to know aside from Nemesis, obviously. What are some bucket list European parks and coasters for you guys then? What are you?
Leesburg.
Yeah.
Energylandia, because
we could go on a while on this, but let's see. So Helix is still my number one bucket list coaster. It has been for like 2 years now, and it still will be.
It's been longer than that.
I know for both of us, Wildfire has been climbing. Zadra as well.
Yeah, Zadra shot at my bucket list after getting on Goliath.
And then
Goliath
obviously Terran
blew my
is just
mind.
There.
Terran. In the UK.
I can talk to you about Terran.
In the UK specifically, Nemesis. This one probably is going to get me, yelled at, but Icon.
I love Icon. I love Icon.
I love Copperhead so much, which is why I want to, Icon looks awesome because they're very similar rides.
I recently came to the conclusion that I have Icon ranked above Copperhead, personally.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I don't know what that does to your expectations, but they are very similar, I thought. But Icon just, especially at night, oh my god, that thing is a different beast at night.
The lights look so cool
when it's all lit up. It paces, but like the second half paces so well. I feel like Copperhead's pacing kind of it doesn't die, but like it sort of just takes its foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, after you go through the element that goes through the first loop, I feel like it dies off a bit, but the first half is so strong that's why it like holds on for me. It's also just a really fun coaster all around.
It's so much fun. I love the varied forces on that thing, and Icon's the exact same.
Dad and I were looking at what we're gonna do for fall break this year, and I was like, let's go. We were debating Kings Island or Carowinds. It's like Carowinds because Fury and Copperhead are greater than anything at Kings Island.
And that's why King's Dominion is better than Kings Island. I-305 and Twisted Timbers over anything at Kings Island. See, you just unintentionally sided with me. I win.
This is my life. Welcome to my life. Okay, here's another. We're gonna move on before he gets a chance to gloat more.
Moving swiftly on.
Ultimate at Lightwater Valley. If it ever reopens, I'm going to figure out how to get over there and ride it.
I really don't know what to say about this thing.
I really want to ride that ride. It looks so jank, and I need it.
Just for the comedy value of how janky it is. I get it.
It looks so stupidly fun because of how stupid it looks.
Stupid it is. That is why it's fun. It's objectively not a good coaster at all.
Neither same as the Beast.
I mean,
but yeah, like it's just that jank and just so ridiculous that
let's get a rail company to build a roller coaster 2 feet off the ground and make it like almost 2 miles long.
Yep. Because
and can we?
Because why not?
Because why not? And then like let's not bank these turns enough.
Let's not.
Literally, the first like big speed section in the woods where it just goes like up and down the hills. It's like those looks like you're pulling some laterals right there, and it looks so bad and stupid.
Just straight laterals and probably reoccurring neck damage in your older years.
Like seriously, when they said that was going SB&O and like the future was uncertain, I was like, oh crap. Yeah. And I've basically like told myself when it reopens, it becomes a priority to go ride it.
Absolutely.
Or if it reopens, it becomes a priority to go ride it.
No, I do get it. I actually got the chance to work at Lightwater Valley in 2019, which first of all, that was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a stark contrast from working at Bush. But I mean, what it did provide for me was the opportunity to go ride that thing a bunch more times. I hadn't been back to Lightwater Valley in years, so luckily for me, I got to ride it a bunch of times before it eventually went SB&O, obviously. So like its future is up in the air, but I'm kind of just like, well, I got to ride it a bunch of times a couple of years ago. So I don't really care that much. But I have to talk about the history of that ride though. Like it would be, objectively speaking, it would be super sad if they don't manage to get it back open, because it does mean so much to that park first of all, and then just I suppose just the coaster scope of the UK in general. Like regardless of how like not great it is, it means a lot to a lot of people. So yeah, it would be nice to see it open again for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a unique thing. It's really like the Beast. It's like there's nothing else like it. The only roller coaster you really can compare it to is the Beast, and even they're entirely different rides. and it just looks like someone drew a line through the woods and said that'll work.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that
I
ride.
forgot that ride existed until you just brought it up, honestly.
It's one of those things. It's, again, one of those random rides that I've always had this weird fascination with. And it's like, yeah, I want to ride that eventually. And COVID definitely impacted me originally getting to ride it last year. Like, I had planned on for a long time. And then now it's, will I ever get to ride it?
Sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to get kind of back on track, as far as UK rides, I would say that Nemesis and Icon are the two bucket list coasters over there for me, and then Alton Towers is definitely the park.
Smiler also intrigues me just
Kinda.
because I want to know like how you don't get sick going upside down 14 times in that short amount of time.
With those huge.
Oh, you just got to build up the stamina for it. Like, it's funny because Nemesis and Smiler are ranked pretty much on top of each other for me. They both are 19 and 20 in my top 20. And at first I really didn't think Smiler was that great. Like I wrote it and it was just like it was all right. But then getting back to writing it again, to be honest, it was kind of like your reception of El Toro, like the first time you wrote that, and then getting back to it, and then but oh, that's what it can do. Okay, all right. It was kind of the same with me for Smiler. But yeah, that thing's incredible. It's just rapid fire, and I mean, yeah, like the inversions on that thing, they do kind of just, especially in the second half, they just punch you over and over again. So like, I personally don't have any problems just getting multiple rides on that thing, but I can definitely see how it might be a bit much for people.
I think something with Smiler that I'm like would love to do and just am looking forward to if I get to do it. When Bryant eventually gets to go to the UK, I want to ride with him the first time because he absolutely hates inversions. Like, he despises inverts. He thinks the Smiler looks like a torture device. I want to ride with him his first time on.
Yeah, he's
That
got
is a
this like
goal of mine.
weird rule where anything over 4 inversions is like unnecessary, and there's 10 more of them. So I'm very interested to see like what he thinks of that ride.
Yeah. Well, I think we're just going to close it out with the last few questions for you. And, they're the same 2 questions we ask everybody. Favorite coaster and favorite park overall?
I think Jack knows this. My favorite coaster is Lightning Rod, although I feel like I should specify 2019 Lightning Rod.
Me deciding if I wanted to go hiking or go to Dollywood yesterday. Is Lightning Rod open? Nope, we're going hiking.
I totally get it. Me personally, I probably would have gone and just lapped Thunderhead, but
yeah, the Thunderhead draw was like enticing, but so was the hike. So, and I've ridden Thunderhead like 400 times.
Yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, Lightning Rod is my favorite coaster as of right now. That thing was just an out of body experience when I got to ride that. To the point where like I feel like I got insanely lucky with it. I went to Dollywood in August of 2019 and got to...
Oh, you rode it during the trimless period in 2019 too.
Yeah. Like, so I got like 10 rides on it over the course of 2 days, and yeah, it seems like I got it right at its peak outside of 2016, right before something happened to it. I can't remember what that was. But,
so the brief summary is, over that summer they decided, hey, let's run it a little bit faster and see how it can handle it. and so they turned some of the trims back off, and they let the launch go back to closer to full power, and they just botched. They started tearing the thing up again, and so we rode it on the last day they ran it without trims that year, and then the very next day it went down. It was down for like 2.5 weeks.
Oh god.
And then it's continued to be a problematic pain in my butt for eternity.
Yep.
All
Yep.
of its life, it basically has said, how can I make Jack mad today?
And at least half of the rest of the coast community.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I got insanely lucky to get on that right at the sweet spot. And been dethroned Fury 325 as my favorite coaster, and it's been that way ever since. I've not done a single coaster that is like that since. And at the time, I'd never experienced pacing quite like that. The only thing that I've been saying to myself, like, the only one of the only coasters that I think can match its pacing, that could possibly match its pacing and possibly beat it, is Zadra. And like, that's that's right up there for my bucket list coasters as well, just like it is yours. But yeah, that's Lightning Rod for me. My favorite park, as I mentioned earlier, is Silver Dollar City. It's nowhere I've ever been. It's funny because, like, when I went there, I didn't even have a full day there. Like, we got there late. It was part of a road trip that me and a friend were doing on that same trip that took me to Dollywood as well. And we got there around noon and met up with a friend of a friend who worked there, and we went to go see the Dolly Parton Stampede dinner show in the evening. So we kind of left a little bit early to go do that dinner show, which was hilarious. So like, I don't even feel like I've had as incredible as the time I had as at Silver Dollar City. I don't really feel like I've had a full experience of it yet, and it's still my favorite park that I've been to.
Yeah, it's something else. That park is special. And when we went for the first time, we went for the first time last summer, and we were looking at, it's like, this park is one that everyone raves about. Everyone talks about this place. Could you do it in a day? Yes. Do we want to? No. And so we said, screw it. We're going to do multiple days at Silver Dollar City. And I don't regret it at all, because the ride collection is phenomenal. And it's basically, what I love about it is it's Craftsman's Valley, which is my favorite part of Dollywood.
Yeah.
But it's the entire park.
The entire park. Yeah.
I
just love that
possible to be dethroned, honestly, at this point. Silver Dollar City.
I'm okay, so like, I'm split, because like, it's like a three-way tie. It's Islands, Knott's, and Silver Dollar City are my three favorite parks, and they all have this own thing that like makes me love them more. And so it's like, which one do I feel like claiming as my favorite park today?
Yeah. I as soon as I get back over to Islands, it's probably, so my top three parks at the moment are Silver Dollar City, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Dollywood. I feel like as soon as I get back to Islands and experience Velocicoaster, Islands is probably just going to infiltrate that top three. To what degree, I don't know, but it's definitely going to be in there. But like with Silver Dollar City, I've never seen a park continue its theme so comprehensively and so consistently throughout the entire park. Like, it's literally, I will preface that by saying, like, my Disney experience is very minimal. Like, it's really minimal. I've been to a few of the Disney parks, but not many. But
same here, so you're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, just the fact that it's all themed to that 1800s Missouri town, and the fact that it doesn't feel like a theme park. It just feels like a town that happens to have some rides in it. And yep. I love that about it. I love parks. I love forested parks. and parks that have a lot of foliage, and it seems like a solid
The whole
90%.
place is covered.
The whole place, at least a solid 90% of 95% of that park is just covered in trees. Just some of the most otherworldly views in that place. And yeah, like the next time I go there, I will be spending 3 days there, ideally. At the very minimum 2. At the very minimum 2.
Yeah,
for sure.
That
The big
place
thing-
is an experience.
Yeah, the only thing that Dollywood's really got over Silver Dollar City is we've got the better mountains. That's just a fact.
Yeah, so we got to drive through the Smoky Mountains on the way to Dollywood, and I've never seen mountains like that before. So
Oh, they are something else to behold. We've done a lot of hiking this weekend, and we went down to the part of the Smokies that most tourists don't get to. We went down to the Fontana region, which is on the North Carolina side, and it's like just barren country for as far as the eye can see. It's amazing. And they're not my favorite mountain range. I've seen the Rockies, I've been in the Sierras, I've been in the Swiss Alps, but the Smokies are something else, especially when you compare them to the Ozarks, which are nothing more than rolling hills, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Well-
I will say I do think I prefer Silver Dollar City's placement within the mountains a little bit over Dollywood's, because like I kind of put it down to just the like what I could see when I was walking through the car park to Silver Dollar City to the entrance versus walking through Dollywood's car park to its entrance, and just being able to feeling like you're on the top of the mountains and just being able to see, just outward to what feels like everywhere. That was a bit more impactful to me than just the experience of walking through Dollywood's car park. But both are incredible. Both are beautiful.
And you definitely just hit the nail on the head. They built Dollywood in the valley. They built Silver Dollar City on top of the mountain, so it gives you two different experiences. And that's with how the Ozarks are versus how the Smokies are, because the Smokies are a much bigger mountain range, whereas the Ozarks are, I think, a third of the height of the Smokies at their highest.
Perhaps, yeah.
And then the Smokies are only like half of the height of the Rockies and a third of the height of the Sierras. So they're still small in the U.S. if you start looking elsewhere, but they're very, very impressive mountains. And I think we could go on about Dollywood and Silver Dollar City all day, because they are both miles ahead of pretty much every American park.
I still have to. Obviously, we won't go too far into what's going on with, SeaWorld Entertainment, but like Busch Gardens Williamsburg is definitely. I guess trying to put my bias aside as much as possible, given I've worked there for 2 summers and stuff, but that park is just so gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best views that I've ever seen in a park are at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and we talk about the consistency of Silver Dollar City's theming. I love how consistent Busch's theming is as well, with its with its countries, its European countries and stuff.
Yeah,
they also do a good job of making them authentic, which is nice.
Yeah,
my hope is that SeaWorld's trending back upwards to the point like where it was in 2017, 2018, as far as management, when you could go and you would be sure to have just a fantastic day. If they can get back to that point, then I can easily see how Williamsburg would be a top 5 park in the country. I mean, Tampa was up there, but we'll see. Announcing ride openings is a good thing. I think that's a start. And
accommodating and making up for
yes,
done by
you have
pass
no
holders
idea
and
how
stuff.
grateful I am that they're actually giving us ERT. That was far more than I was expecting from them, dude.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'm glad for you guys.
I'm
basically
happy.
refusing to go back to SeaWorld Park until they open their rides.
I mean, I'm doing the same, but the ERT is a huge step. Like that will be the next time I step foot in a SeaWorld Park is when I go to get my ERT on Quasi. But
until
yeah,
then, you go ride Dino Boy.
that's right. That's what I'll do. So, Mikhile, thank you so much for coming on, sir. Do you want to plug all your stuff before we close this out?
Yeah, I can do. So, like we mentioned before, my Instagram is Visions by Mikhile. You follow me on there. Got all the finished pieces of artwork that I've done up until this point, and then some photography as well. I've really enjoyed getting into photography this year. Always have
It's
a blast.
addicting.
It is very addicting. It's really addicting. Taking a ton of pictures over at Blackpool Pleasure Beach just this past weekend, and
I can't wait to see them all.
Yeah, I can definitely show you some of the best ones that I've got, and I've spent pretty much all of this afternoon just sifting through them and editing them and stuff. But Visions by Mikhile on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter, which is Mickey03. That's spelled MIKHI 03. Just chat to me on there. Those are my main two platforms of where I'm at, really.
Got you. And then all those links will be in the description, as well as the Chain Dogs. We'll put the link for that in the description as well.
Y'all are allowed to listen to other podcasts, so
just not TDR. That's the only one.
Just not them. If you do listen to them, like send them something that says, like, tell them we sent you their way, just so they can be like, wait, didn't you copy our show? Because we kind of did.
No. But yeah, follow us on Twitter at Twisted Traveler, but the R at the end is a 1. Follow us on Instagram at Twisted_Travelers. You can follow me on Instagram at Twisted Travelers, Chris and Jack.
At Thrilling Moment on Twitter and Instagram for all of the roller coaster goodness and hot takes galore.
That's right. Follow Brian, Allison's book, all that stuff. Everything's in the description. Discord, Patreon. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
And next week, you're getting an exclusive review of This Is How We Roll. I'm just saying, you're getting a review of it next week.
We got some stuff in the works. But yeah, thank you all for listening. We will see you next week. Mikhile, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been awesome. Loved it.
We got you. You're welcome back anytime. Just shoot us a message.
Will do. Cheers, guys.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Twisted Travelers podcast.